Chilling Rovers here, baby! So let me sort you out some deck list, yeah? Okay, so our first one here is the tried and tested ADPZ, which I still think is the best deck in format. It gains a new card, Peony, which discards your hand, search your deck for 2 trainer cards and put them in your hand. In combination with Kricketune V, it's going to make it really easy to get your turn 1 GX, baby. Can't you see? Wow, that's pretty good. Apart from that, you know, we use Zacian to, you know, smack things, take 3 prizes on Crobat, then in any evolving Vs. Auto Creation lets us take an extra prize card upon knockout and do an extra 30 damage for the rest of the game. We all know how ADP is, and I think until it rotates, it's going to be the best deck in format. Let's not get it twisted. ADPZ! Right, so next up we got ourselves Blissey, a new V card from Chilling Rain. Basic Pokemon with 250 HP with an ability where when you attach your energy you can heal special conditions. That's pretty cool. And it's got this really interesting attack. So for 1 energy you do 10 damage plus 30 for each energy you have attached in this way. Then if you did damage you can attach 3 energy cards from the discard pile to this Pokemon. So that's going to add up really cool, really quick I should say. So all we've got to do is just sling a whole of energy on this Blissey. You know, it's a 250 HP 2 poison that has capable of toughness support. Could get pretty gnarly. So we're going to use Porygon Z, which is going to let us throw down Recycle energies, Lucky energies, Draw energies, Powerful energies, Capture energies. Just throw them all down and Blissey can use them. So that's Blissey Porygon Z. Could actually be a pretty fun little rogue deck. Just got to navigate getting your stage 2s out. But hey, there could be a welder version here as well. I don't know, but Blissey V Porygon Z. Right, so next up we got ourselves Blaziken VMAX Zeraora. Blaziken is a VMAX Pokemon with 320 HP. With 2 attacks, you've got Clutch for 1 fire. You do 60 damage and your opponent can't retreat. Now don't forget, we don't actually play any basic energies in this list. So the only way you're using that attack is by using the Spiral energy. But we do have a DCE. We got ourselves what's it called? Max Flame. Which is 2 energy, does 130, and you can attach 2 energy cards. I didn't say basic, by the way. 2 energy cards to your bench Rapid Strike Pokemon. So this is pretty gnarly. So here's the idea. We're going to use our Max Flame to set up our Zeraora Vs. And Zeraora Vs are scary Pokemon. Basic Pokemon, 210 HP with 1 attack Cross Fist for lightning, double curless. But don't forget, that can be Spiral Energy plus Rapid Strike Energy, do 100 damage. And then if any of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon attacked, last turn you can do a Snipe for a crisp 160. That's gnarly. Crobat's gone. You know, with Persimmon, Crobat gone. Any, I don't know, bench Inteleon, gone. It is nuts the amount of damage this thing can throw around. So you play stuff like Artillery just to help tutor us out of energy because we're all a special energy deck. We've also got the pretty cool Scroll of Skies, which I think could be worth trying out. It's a tool card. You attach it to one of your Rapid Strike Pokemon. It gives them the attack Grav Drop. For one lightning, 1 curless, you do 10 plus 50 for each energy they've got attached. Could come in handy against something that's loading up a lot of energies. I'm not sure. I just don't like Blaziken VMAX's attack. It's a bit one-dimensional. Doesn't do enough damage. I thought I'd sling that in there and see how we go. But yeah, Blaziken VMAX Zeraora. Don't sleep on it. Zeraora will take your lunch money. So we've only really got 2 attackers in this list. We've got ourselves the Shadow Rider VMAX with the Max Geist attack, which for 3 energy does 10 plus 30 for each psychic attached to all your Pokemon. So you can see with our Underworld Door ability, which is a mixture of Trade and Malamar Psychic Recharge, where you can attach a Psychic from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, bench Psychic Pokemon I should say, draw 2 cards. So the idea is you're going to sling a whole lot of energy into play, use Max Geist, really consistent, really simple, just pile on a whole ton of Psychic energies, and away we go. But we are worried about Eternatus. We are weak to dark in this list. We've got ourselves 2 Galarian Zapdos with that really cool attack, what's called Thunderous Kick. For 1 fighting, 3 colorless, you do 170, and before applying damage you can discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active. So what that basically reads is, if you're hitting an Eternatus with a weak guy energy, it is now KO'd, because we know 170 times 2 is 340, and you discard the weak guard. Now, you're probably thinking that is awfully costly. That is not really the greatest of counters. But with that ability that it's got, Fighting Instinct, for each one of your opponent's V Pokemon in play, you can remove a colorless from this Pokemon's attack. So if they have 3 V Pokemon in play, you can do this attack for 1 Fighting Energy or 1 Aurora Energy. And that's the idea here. We've got the Cresselia to be our non-GX out, as well as our non-V out, I should say, whilst attaching energies really fast if we're going second. So yeah, also worth noting, the Shadow Rider V Baby has a pretty cool attack, Astral Barrage. For 3 colorless energy, you can pick 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, put 5 damage counters on them. Pretty cool against like control and stuff like this. And then that Shadow Mist for 1 Psychic Energy, you do 10 damage. It stops your opponent playing stadiums and special energies, I believe. That's really good for stopping stuff like Path to the Peak coming down, and stopping stuff like Mad Party from attaching their energies. Also worth noting, the reason why we play 2 Marshadows and 2 Swells here, because we are really scared of Path to the Peak. It stops our Zapdos and it stops our Underworld doors. We don't want to see that, so make sure we get that Path to the Peak out of there. You know what I mean? Shadow Rider Calyrex is a very, very versatile card. So here I've got another list for you, and this is Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX with Alcremie VMAX, where instead of just using Max Geist to, you know, like do 10 plus 30 for each energy attach, we're going to pile as many energies as we can to our bench, and then use our Alcremie VMAX, which does 60 for each energy you discard from your Pokemon. So you can see we're going to attach loads, blow them up, and then, you know, if we have like what 6, 12, 18, 40, we have 6 energy discarded, we can just bang VMAX. Now it is quite costly, I'm not gonna lie. We do have to play stuff like energy recycler here, I should say, so we can keep doing this over and over again. But hey, it gives you a bit more of a nuke attacker, you know what I mean? You can like take 1 G-Mass Whisk KO and then just like take 2 shots with Max Guys for the rest of the game. Seems quite cool. And hey, I'm sure we've all got these Alcremies knocking about. They were cheap when the Battle Styles met. They might be more expensive now, but if you got them knocking about, give it a go. Now we've also got Shadow Rider Control, and I say control, it's more like Shadow Rider Resource Disruption, right? Because you got yourself a Shadow Rider, you know, all the Underworld Door and a Max Cross, all that good stuff. But we've also got some Scoop Up Nets and some Clefables. And what Clefable does, when you evolve them, you can get an energy attached from your opponent's active and put it to the top of that. This does 2 things. Number 1, it removes energy from their board, which is really scary, right? It means, you know, they might not be able to attack next turn. But it also controls their top deck, so we know they're not going to top deck anything good. Worth noting, we also have the mini metronome attack, which you can use in a pinch from his Clefairy, which is flip a coin in Fed. You can choose one of your opponent's attack and use it as this attack could come in handy. We've got stuff like Giratina, you know, we can use our Scoop Up Net, which lets you discard a special energy from your opponent's active when you bench him. In combination with Nets, we can just keep reusing that. We've got Mind Report Mewtwo in a similar vein, lets you get back a support and put it to the top of your deck. Really cool. We got one for that Rugged Helmet, which is like a hammer. When they attack into you, it's a tool card. Attack into you, they discard an energy from them as well. It's a really disgusting deck. It actually could be quite scary in combination with 4 hammers as well. So Shadow Rider Control, baby. Ooh. Right then, so next we've got ourselves Shadow Rider Mewtwo. This is actually an archetype I'm extremely excited for. We've seen how crazy Galaxy Mewtwo and Psychic Mewtwo was in the Battle Styles meta, and I think there's no reason why this one can't be absolutely nutty too. So let's have a look. So we're going to be using Underworld Door to fling loads of Psychic Energies into play. We know this already. And then Mewtwo will be able to use some nutty attacks. So we've got stuff like Gengar Mimikyu with that Poltergeist and that Horror House to put our opponent's back a turn. We got Trevenant to use Night Watch. We all know 3 for 150. Shuffle 2 cards from your opponent's hand back attack. We all know how scary that is, especially in combination with Mindy, which you play at a 4 count. We've also got Espeon Deoxys, a card that everyone's forgot about. It was really strong in Worlds 2018, 2019, I'm not sure. But when you can roll the first turn, you can really threaten that cross division, where if you have, 6 energy attached, I believe, you can spread 20 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon anyway you like. Could be pretty nutty, worth using. Psychic Club also isn't that bad of an attack in this deck. We got ourselves Venom Shot as well from Naganadel, which is for 4 energy you can do 170 snipe, discarding 2, lets you clean up the detonates and stuff for game. And then you got Dragonite Jax in a similar vein, 5 for 270. Pretty gnarly indeed. Apart from that, everything else is pretty normal in here. Love to see it. I'm incredibly excited for this archetype. I think it's going to be really good for sure. Worth also noting, Miraculous Duo can actually be a really good GX attack in this deck. You know, tank some hits with Max Geist and heal it all off with Miraculous Duo and try to take some prize at the same time. Pretty gnarly. Right then, we've also got Shadow Rider Path to the Peak. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what's all this about? Why are we playing Path to the Peak in here? Well, the idea is, you see, we can establish a really strong lock with Horror House and then go straight into a Marnie Night Watch with Path to the Peak. It's an incredibly strong thing to deal with, because let's say you give your opponent a 2-card hand to start off the game, right, and they can't use their abilities. So if they haven't got a Stadium and like, I don't know, a quick ball or a stadium into 10A or a stadium like a research, they could be in a spot of bother. This could be really strong. So the idea is going to get yourself to a night watch as soon as possible and try and move in a horror house if you can. Slam down the path to the peak and say deal with that. You've also got access to your own Mar Shadow, so you can like discard the path to the peak, fling a whole lot of energies into play, then either re-establish path to the peak lock whilst Max Geist is threatening one shots and two shots, or you can even put the path to the peak back down and really dictate the game's tempo. Pretty scary, pretty gnarly, pretty degenerate. Right, so let's look at ourselves Eternatus hammers. Now, I've actually tried to fit hammers in this list. It's actually proved quite difficult. So I've only fit in 3 here. Feel free to maybe make a cut for the 4th, but I can't really think of another card to cut for the 4th hammer, so it might be time to just give up hammers in your Eternatus. But we do have some new toys here in our Eternatus list. We've got the Galarian Moltres, which is a basic Pokemon with that Dire Flames ability, will let you get a dark from the discard pile once per turn attached to this Pokemon. This actually solves a few problems, right? Number 1. If you miss energy turn 1, it's now no longer the end of the world, because you can attach for turn you next turn, use Moltres, and then energy switch them onto the Eternatus, and you can get swinging again in 1 turn. That's pretty gnarly. Also lets you act as like another sub attacker, which is 3 for 190, which actually isn't half bad. And yeah, it's actually pretty cool. We also have a Liepard V in here, which when you bench them, you can discard a tool from anywhere on the field, including your side as well. This is pretty good for getting stuff like big charms off Mewtwo's and potentially ADPs, so you can just straight carry them with Dread End. Outside that, there's not much else it does. Has got a 1 retreat cost. So yeah, pretty standard Eternatus with those 2 cards. Pretty gnarly, pretty cool. Here's a little spice for your life version here from Whole Hot Shot. I can't wait to try this one out. So now that we've got Galarian Moltres in format, I thought, what better way to make use of that than use Weavile, because I don't think Galarian Zigzagoon is actually terribly useful anymore. So I've cut that down to a 2 count. You still need 1 or 2 in case you want it to ADP, but what we're going to do, we're going to use Moltres to like fling loads of energies into play, and that's going to open up our Cheryl options, right? Because Cheryl lets you heal all damage from your evolved Pokemon, but you have to discard energy. So let's say your Eternatus takes a big fat hit and you've got like 280 damage on, you can move the energies onto like your Moltres, for example, play Cheryl, move it back onto your Eternatus, and that is a scary Eternatus for sure. You could even start playing stuff like Darkrai here and try and build that Dark Moon GX or something, or maybe a Mega Sableye Tyranitar as well. But for now, I thought I'd just keep it as Eternatus, but we are going to try a Darkrai for sure. And this just looks like a straight Eternatus list. If you don't want no hammers, you don't want no Frimfram, this is your go-to Eternatus list here. We've got the Hooper. Hooper's actually really cool. Now that Galarian Moltres is in format, this means if our opponent leaves like 60 HP, well, any sort of Sobble or anything, we can actually just try and go for the Assault Gate, take a quick KO and a quick prize, because we don't have to worry about not being able to Dread End next turn, because if that Hooper gets KO, we can just Moltres energy switch, bish bash bosh, and away we go. Worth noting though, if you want to respect Galarian Zapdos, you have to start putting big charms in your Eternatus list, fellas. Right now, I'm not sure how prevalent it's going to be on a ladder, so I haven't got them in here, but I would be hesitant to take this to like a chill or something without big charms. But let's just see how the Galarian Zapdos pans out, because with a big charm, you actually survive a Thunderous Kick, which is absolutely insane. So keep that in mind. Right, so we've got ourselves Greens Trevenant. Now, I love Greens and I love Trevenant, so this should be a deck right up my alley, right? Here's the idea. With Cresselia, we can get a turn 2 Night Watch happen pretty much all the time. We can always get a mini active, we can use Crescent Glow, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a sidekick Flare Starter, right? And then the idea is that we can go straight into a Marnie, Night Watch, put them down to a 2-card hand straight away, put on a lot of pressure, threaded in 2 shots. We've got stuff like Rugged Helmet to discard energy, we've also got Hammers, we've got Horror Energy, and we've got 4 Path to the Peak. We're just being as disruptive as possible. We've also got the new Flannery Supporter, which we can use in combination with our Cynthia Caitlins, which lets you discard a special energy and a stadium from play. So it lets you maybe get rid of a Swell, so you can just sling a Path to the Peak down and start that lock. Pretty scummy, really, but also pretty damn good. But the problem with this deck is if your opponent makes you go first, I don't really see a win con, but don't worry about that. I'm sure we'll be fine. Keeping it with the greens decks, we've got ourselves Greens Inteleon here. Now, I love Inteleon as well, actually. And I love greens as well. So as soon as Many come out, it means you might be able to do a Greens Inteleon list. So what Inteleon does, For 1 energy, you got Hydro Snipe. For 1 energy, you do 60 damage, and you put up an energy from your opponent's active back into the hand. A little bit of energy denial there is pretty good. We do play 4 Crushing Hammers to supplement that as well. And then with Melanies, we can, like, you know, eventually build to that max bullet, which is 160 to the active, so a good, crisp, clean 2-shot on pretty much everything in format, whilst doing 60 to the bench. And just start, you know, lining stuff up for 2 shots. Pretty cool control-y deck for sure, and I can't wait to try and tell you on that again. It's a really fun card. Right, next we've got ourselves some Ice Rider lists, and here we've got Ice Rider Cinccino. The idea is here that Melanie isn't really the greatest of supporters. We do have to try and play Melanie every turn if we are discarding the 2 energies from our Ice Rider to the full 240. So Cinccino just helps us with that, as well as getting water energies into the bin, because it's not like Welder Melanie. You have to actually have the energy in the discard pile to use it. So Cinccino just helps with that. Also helps with having Cinccino, because if there's going to be a lot of Path to the Peak flying around, you know, stuff like the Denies and Crowbats aren't actually the most reliable. So Cinccino lets us, you know, shoot through the rest of the game. Ice Rider Calyrex for 2 energy does 10 plus 120 for each energy discard up. You can only discard up to 2, so you can top out at 240, 250, and you can also just discard 1 if you want to clean up. Rider the High King is actually pretty cool as well. For 2 energy, you do 10 plus 30 for each one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Pretty nice against Eternatus, and a decent little 2-shot everywhere else. So it's actually a pretty cool list. I'm not quite 100% sold on Ice Rider until I start playing it, but until then I am open. But there's one list for you. Here we got another Ice Rider list. We've got ourselves Ice Rider Inteleon. Here's the idea with Inteleon. We can start bringing those tag team straight into 1-shot range, right? This new Inteleon has the Decidueye GX ability, almost lets you put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, or one of your opponent's Pokemon, right? We play 2 of those, and if you get them both out, you can do 2 of them in a turn, so you've got an extra 40 damage turn to play with. But worth noting with we can use the Drizzile from back in the day with the Shady Dealings ability. So when you evolve them, you can search your deck for a trainer, essentially dead draw proofing yourself for the most part, right? And giving yourself immunity to Path to the Peak. We'll actually play one of the other Sword and Shield Inteleon with a similar ability. When you evolve, lets you search 2 trainers. So again, you can always just like leave a Drizzile on the bench. At any time you can just go evolved Inteleon boss for game. That's the idea. But apart from that, we're still playing Path to the Peaks, we're still playing our Melanie, still playing our research. We're going to try and use that max lance as often as possible. Really cool. Right, next we've got ourselves Lycanroc, a pretty cool revenge attacker. Now, you OGs might remember this has been like a Flareon or even Vesperkin, right? This one's kind of different, but it might be different in a good way. Let's have a look. So Lycanroc is a stage 1 Pokemon with a Rogue Fangs attack, which for 2 fighting energy does 80 plus 10 for each single strike Pokemon in your discard pile. Now, back in the day, I was thinking these Vesperkin decks had to play like close to 30 Pokemon to where you can make the revenge attacks good, because they all start off as 10 plus 10. Because this one starts at 8, you don't really need to bum rush too many in the discard pile if they start threatening 2-shots. So here, all I've got is the 4-4 Lycanroc and the 4-4 Houndooms. But in all honesty, you might be able to like start slinging more in here. I've actually got 4 of the Urshifu VMAX. Now the reason we play them is because we don't play any basic Urshifu, so we can never lead it. They are solely there just to get themselves in the discard pile. So we've got stuff like Tower of Darkness to like fling these single strike Pokemon into the discard pile. We have Brunos as well. We also have the cheeky 2 of Karen's Conviction just to help us reach, you know, 2-shots and potentially even 1-shots at the critical turn. This is actually an arc I'm excited to try and see how the list pans out. I'm not 100% sure if this is the way forward, but I reckon it's on the right track. Lycanroc. Right, so similar to Lycanroc, we've got ourselves a Malamar here. Stage 1 Pokemon, Rapid Strike this time with a pretty cool attack. Rapid Strike Tentacles. For 1 psychic energy, you do 40 times the amount of Rapid Strike Pokemon you reveal from your hand, and then you can shuffle them back in. So this is actually pretty cool, right? Because we don't have to discard them like Lycanroc. We can just try and keep reusing the same Pokemon over and over again. So you're probably thinking, let's just bum rush loads of Pokemon in this deck. However, I saw this list from Japan that played like a 4-4 Auxiliary, Inkay and Malamar as your only Pokemon, and then you have Cinccino just to help you fill that hand. You actually have to fill your hand every turn for this to hit decent damage, right? So the idea is you can use Cinccino's, Auxiliary keeps you ticking over fighting energy and all your attackers, and you've also got Lily's Full Force, a very cool supporter. that I've been trying to make work for a long time, but this seems like the perfect deck for it. What it does is basically a support. It lets you draw 4 straight cards from your deck, but at the end of the turn you have to discard until you have 3 cards in your hand. So essentially, if we play our cards right here, we can Lily's Full Force, have like a ton of Rapid Strike Pokemon in our hand, reveal them, shuffle them back in, and we don't actually have to discard many for Lily's Full Force. That's the idea. Outside that, we just play like Lucky Eggs to fill our hand back up on the back of KOs and stuff like this. This is actually a pretty fun archetype. It would definitely be a fun one, a fun little rogue for like a league challenge for sure. Right, so we've seen Rapidash be paired with Victini with that Libra Horn attack. We're going to try it with Metagross this time. What Metagross does is a VMAX Pokemon, big chunky geezer, 330 HP, with 2 attacks. You've got Zap Cannon for 1 Metal Energy. You search your deck for 2 items and put them in your hand. And you've got like Zap Cannon, I think it's called, I don't know, for 1 Metal, 1 Colorless. Do 100 damage, and then next turn it does 150 more. So you start doing 250. That's the idea. So the idea here is here. Because this damage is sort of back loaded, I should say, you're not really carrying anything with 100 damage on that first turn. It's just not happening. You can't carry Zennies or Crobats. So we're going to use the Rapidash to sort of put everything down to it's got 100 left, and then Metagross can just come in with that scary attack. We've also got this Bronzong to help keep us ticking over. We can move these metal energies around. We've got metal sources, right? We have the evolutionary advantage Bronzong, where you can try and get the turn 1 Libra Horn off depending on how it goes. And then that also opens up the door for Cheryl for our Metagross, because they have really big tanky geezer at 330 HP. So a pretty fun archetype, and I really want it to work. So I really like Metagross as a Pokemon. It hasn't really had a good card in a long time. So let's see if we can make this work, people, yeah? We got ourselves Tornadus VMAX, another single strike Pokemon that also attacks for 4 energy. Let's see what it does. So for 4 energy, you do 120. And if there's a stadium in play, you have to discard it and you do 120 more. So single strike Urshifu VMAX starts off at 270. This starts a little bit lower, but there are a couple of advantages using this Tornadus. Number 1, you don't have to discard the energies. You can just keep doing this over and over and over again. And number 2, you've actually got more modifiers. You can use your single strike energies as well, right? We all know this. But you can also use powerful energies as well. So we can, in theory, build that attack up really nicely. We also have use of triple acceleration energy in here just to get to that attack really fast. Now, the downsides are you have to find a stadium every turn. A bit like if you play Primal Groudon, it's a bit like this. And your opponent might start cutting it on and not putting stadiums down because it sort of helps you out. So there's that to worry about. We do play 4, though, of our Tower of Darkness. This is a Porygon Z list. We can just fling all these special energies down to our Tornadus and start trying to take one-shots that way. Pretty fun archetype. I can't see it being terribly expensive. This could be a fun one to learn for sure. Now here's a fun little list. We got ourselves Urshifu VMAX with Galarian Moltres. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what's all this about then? There's a couple reasons why these 2 cards work really well. Number 1, Urshifu VMAX in theory handles all the fighting weak stuff, right? That's pretty cool, like your Eternatus is, but it really loses to the Shadow Riders, right? But that's where this Galarian Moltres comes in, because he's sort of a bit self-sufficient, right? You can like attach the Dart for turn, you can use his ability, then it's only 1 energy off from being able to use its Dire Rain Fling attack, which will one-shot the Calyrex VMAXs. That's the idea. But not only that, this also gives you an avenue to use your G-Max Rapid Flow on back-to-back turns, because you can, let's say you do a G-Max Rapid Flow, you now have no energy attached, right? You can then next turn attach another Rapid Strike energy, use a Dire Flame Wings ability, then energy switch it onto the Urshifu, and now you can do your Rapid Flow again. And with stuff like Persimmon and Telescopic Sight, let me say, that is some crazy amount of damage you're flinging around. So this could be a pretty fun archetype. It's a little bit clunky. You got, mixed energy cost is never a bad thing. We have got Virgin Forest to help alleviate that, so could be pretty fun. Keeping it with the Rapid Strike Urshifu, you have Rapid Strike Urshifu Inteleon. Now, we've mentioned Inteleon before, the one that has the quick shooting ability that lets you put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. So the idea is here, between Persimmon, between Inteleon, and all that stuff, we can actually start bringing in that Rapid Flow to start doing silly damage. It gives us the consistency of the other Inteleon and the other Drizzle, so it's sort of Dead Jaw proof and Path to the Peak proof to a certain extent, and it starts making these Galefus start becoming 2-shots, which is incredibly scary to think about if Galefus starts becoming a 2-shot without having to rely on stadium or stuff like this. So again, this could be a pretty fun archetype. Rapid Strike Urshifu's got a whole ton of options now for sure. Right, next up we've got some Sandaconda VMAX and Cinccino. It's actually a list that we've got on the channel here already. And this is a spread deck. Sandaconda for 1 energy does 60 damage and then spreads 20 to all your opponent's Pokemon. So with a long view sight, you can make that to 50 damage, and that's pretty gnarly. And if they start trying to get clever with it and not benching stuff, the second attack, G-Max Cyclone, for 3 energies, 108, and you can move all the energies around, a bit like Kaleidostorm from Guardian. And that's a good enough attack to keep them honest, is what I'm thinking. You got 3 energies to act as a soft boss, and then you've got Cinccino to help you ticking over, because we can make use of Cheryl in this deck rather well, and that's what we've got the Cinccino to help keep us ticking over. This could become the best sort of like scatter shot spread deck, where you got like Zeraora, that's very targeted spread. If you want like a sort of kind of spread deck, this could be the one to go for. Oh, here's a fun budget one for you. Single Strike Seviper. Seviper is a powerhouse. For 3 energy, you do 90 plus 90 if you play the Single Strike Supporter, right, from your hand. So there's 2 Single Strike Supporters that we play. Karen's Conviction, the new one, right, which means for this turn, the Single Strike Pokemon you attack with, there's an extra 20 for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if they've taken 3 prize cards, you do an extra 60. That can add up pretty well. And we also have Bruno, since we are a 1 prize attacking deck. We are probably going to get knocked out every turn, so Bruno shuffling and let us draw 7 is pretty cool. But we also get to use the Welcoming Lantern here. And I'm not really sure on the count of this, but I've opted for 2 for now. That could change. Welcoming Lantern, which is like essentially a VSC. You can let you get a Single Strike Supporter from your discard pile back up to your hand. So this is actually pretty cool. This is pretty cool. It's a really fun little list. We've got Houndoom to keep us ticking over, Owner Vitality to get those energies back. And this could be the best budget deck in my opinion. Worth noting that if you want to try and take some crisp, clean one-shots, wait till your opponent's taking like 4 or 5 prizes, then start using that Single Strike Urshifu via that Impact Blow just to send them to the Shadow Realm, baby. Jeez. Now here's a super interesting Single Strike archetype. We got Galarian Slowking VMAX. Let me talk you through this one. So we're actually probably more concerned with the Galarian Slowking V than we are the VMAX. Let's look at that one first. So Galarian Slowking V is a basic Pokemon, 220 HP. A Concoction, I think, lets you draw discard a card from your hand and you can draw 3. Don't worry about that one. But we've got Wind or Word or Ruin, which for 2 energy if your opponent's active is knocked out next turn. So they can retreat and switch out of this effect, sure, but the idea is here with this list, with our 4 Galar Mines and our Marnies, we can really put a lot of pressure on potential 3 prize Pokemon with that Word of Ruin and just try and KO them. That's the idea. And that's why we play the memory capsule here. But we do want to actually use the Galarian Slowking VMAX as well. So let's look at this, which had the Max Toxifier attack. For 2 energy, you do 10, and then your opponent's active is poison, and they take 12 damage counter in between turns. So they take like 130 going into their turn, 260 coming back out. That's the idea. That's getting pretty gnarly. It has actually got a 10 multiplier there as well. So that means Single Strike energy can actually chip in, add a little bit extra. So you can be doing like 30 damage immediately and then get into the poison. So with that said, because it only attacks for 2 energy, we don't need a super thick Houndoom. We only play 2 of those. And we've got Cinccino just to help us keep drawing through. This is another deck where in combination with Memory Capsule, we can make use of Cheryl. You know, try and weave in like a 1 Word of Ruin KO late game in combination with our 4 Galar Mines and try and take 1 free prize KO with the Max Toxifier. Seems like a decent route to victory for sure. Right, so we see Tornadus VMAX with Porygon Z. Now, if you want to take it a more traditional Houndoom route, here's a list for that. We don't really if you don't want to be dealing with stage 2s, I don't blame you. So we've got ourselves loads of Houndooms here, powerful energies to attach once per turn, and we've got the triple acceleration as well. Don't forget that Tornadus VMAX with 120 plus 120 if you discard a Stadium. So if there's no Stadium in play, you're sort of twiddling your thumbs, I guess. But between the Single Strike engines and the powerfuls, you might be able to KO with like a Dedenne or something. So could be good, could be good. Right, next up we got ourselves another Single Strike archetype. Karen's Conviction just put so many back on the map. I've even missed off decks like Primate here, but we got ourselves Tyranitar. Scary Pokemon. For 4 energy, you do 240 damage, and you discard the top 4 cards. Don't worry about the top 4 cards. Hopefully, we won't hit anything good. But when you don't hit anything good, you got it as a potential 2 prizer taking big one-shots. Now, before, you used to fall a bit short of the mark. 240 was a bit of a low starting point in comparison to 270 from your Urshifu VMAX. With Kara's Conviction, we can start creeping that up and start taking one-shots on VMAX. All you got to do is knock out 2 of those things, baby. Or knock out 1 VMAX and like 2 Eternatus or something. It's very possible. So yeah, Tyranitar back on that. We do play 1 single strike Urshifu just so we can hit for fighting weakness when we need to. Worth noting, this deck also slaps, absolutely destroys Shadow Rider because they can't just Zapdos you, because number 1, you're not weak to fight, and number 2, you don't really play enough V Pokemon for that anyway. So if you wanna hit for Dark type weakness and not get destroyed by Zapdos, could be the deck for you. Alright, and last up we got ourselves Volcanion V. I kind of actually overlooked, but then after watching the Omnipoke set review, I was like, okay, this actually might have a little bit of leg to it. So let's have a look. Volcanion V is another single strike Pokemon, 220 HP with that dynamite, what's that called? Tackle. You do 100 damage for 3 energy, and if you've got 10 damage counters on, you do 150 more. So you can hit up to 250. And now I saw this and thought, okay, this is trash. However, they did remind me there's an Abomasnow in this set. The single strike Abomasnow, which when it's in play, it gives your single strike Pokemon plus 50 HP, not including the Abomasnow though. So you can get that Volcanion up to like what, 270 on a basic. That's pretty gnarly. Don't forget, Capable of Toughness exists. You can get yourself to like 320. All of a sudden, you are a Volcanion 2 prizer with VMAX HP, and they're going to have to 2-shot you if they're taking 250 back. You have got single strike energy that you can play to help, you know, get that damage a little bit higher, and Karen's Conviction as well. The only problem with this deck, I couldn't work out whether to play a Houndoom or not. It's probably a deck I have to try out a little bit, but if you want a good starting list. Right, so we got to the end. Thank you so much. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Chilling Reign is now here. We have so much stuff planned, so many deck profiles, so many fun videos, comedians, skits, game shows, all that good stuff. So stick around, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.